Now I have the honor of inviting Shri K.Jayakumar to deliver the presidential address, a former Chief Secretary of Kerala. He's a talented poet, lyricist, artist, translator, and also screenplay writer. Please join me in welcoming Shri K.Jayakumar to the stage.
Professor Jamila Begum, distinguished keynote address, the person who is making the keynote address, Dr. Akshanta Jalil, distinguished members among the audience, and dear friends. It's a matter of great privilege to be associated with this program. Although every year we remember or recall Vakkom Moulavi and his contributions, I think this year the program has been organized, I'm sure thanks to some very enlightened individuals among this crowd. This year the program has been organized with a different vision and on a different scale. And Vakkom Moulavi deserves that kind of dimension, because the contributions that he has made and what he symbolizes is extremely important and cannot be overlooked. This particular foundation and this particular function has more meaning and significance than an ordinary commemoration meeting or a remembrance meeting. Because this gives us an opportunity to recall one of the greatest intellectuals, reformers among us, not only to recall Vakkom Moulavi and his very courageous life, but also to introspect for all of us as to how we carry on his legacy. What does he mean in today's society? I think this program gives us a rare opportunity to consider Vakkom Moulavi in a different perspective, not only for what he has done during his lifetime, but what he means to us during our lifetime. The life and contribution of Vakkom Moulavi they are well known to most of us sitting here, particularly his very courageous stand as a journalist, as Swadesh Abhimani's owner, proprietor or whatever, and the kind of editorial freedom that he gave to Deshabhimani, Swadesh Abhimani Ramakrishna Pillai, who was subsequently exiled. All these things we know. They are in public memory. We also know that Vakkom Moulavi initiated a lot of reforms in education, bringing about changes in religious orthodoxy, arguing for the importance of education, particularly among women, and generally trying to bring about large scope of changes, very vast changes in a community that deserved an awakening at that time. Only a person of his vision and fortitude could have pioneered that kind of revolutionary, or rather this kind of efforts which have long impact in Kerala's history at that time. Nobody can be viewed from the current perspective for what he has done in the past. We should go back in his times and understand the kind of limiting factors in which an ordinary individual would have broken down. Repression of the state is not a new thing, nor is it a small thing, because the repressive capability of a state is almost infinite, whether it is a democracy or a monarchy. That democracy has subsequently taught us. It doesn't matter whether you are a democracy or a theocracy or a monarchy. The repressive capacity of the state is infinite. Even when we profess that freedom is our birthright and we embed it in our constitution, we know how difficult it is to be free. So it is in this context that Vakkom Moulavi has to be revisited. We have to revisit the memory of Vakkom Moulavi. Most of the questions that he raised in his difficult times, when the king was supreme and the Diwan was supremer, if there is a word, I know there is no word like that. Diwan was more supreme than the king in that time. So if you can probably criticize the monarch, but to criticize a Diwan is dangerous. King would have tolerated, I'm sure. But then to criticize a Diwan was quite lethal. And that is what Desha Abhimani, Swadesha Abhimani did. Under the protective wings of Vakkom Moulavi, who respected editorial freedom. Today, I was telling to Mr. Damodaran that you should conduct journalism courses. Then he gave me a reply which is very telling. After giving them instructions in how fearless a journalist ought to be, and encouraging them and prodding them to be a very fearless journalist and crusader of truths, what are we going to do with them? They are going to be unemployed. Especially if you are going to be a crusader of truth and a fearless journalist, be comfortable at home. Nobody wants you. We do not want truth, people who tell the truth in post-truth era. Anyway, so Vakkom Moulavi raised fundamental questions about the freedom of expression, about the freedom of the individuals, about corruption, about integrity in public life, about the emancipation of women, particularly Muslim women, the role of education, all kinds of questions he raised. Some of these questions, even in a democratic setup like ours, have become extremely dangerous to raise. That is the kind of complete arc that we have followed. So Vakkom Moulavi today appears as a surreal person. For people who have been living fully in this generation, for us, Vakkom Moulavi and his contributions and his activities appear to be very surreal. Is it possible? So that is the kind of personality that he was. I think a point comes in an individual's life where he ceases to be an individual but becomes an icon or a symbol. I think Vakkom Moulavi has rose to that level where he is no longer an individual, but he is an icon and a symbol. And what does he symbolize? He symbolizes freedom of thought. He symbolizes emancipation and equality of women. He symbolizes the importance of education. He symbolizes a society where people are equal and despite religious differences, we are able to live comfortably well. In today's society, owing to several factors which I do not want to sort of pinpoint, we know that there is fear lurking in our subconscious. I think we should be honest to ourselves. Nobody in this hall could say fully that I am totally fearless. There are even not ill-defined or undefined fears, unrecognized fears that are lurking in everybody's mind in India. And in these times, Vakkom Moulavi becomes one of the boldest, one of the most brightest symbols of freedom, for whom journalism means fearlessly telling the truth so that the society understands. Fearlessly telling the truth. I think today a journalist, whether he be a TV journalist or a print journalist, whether he is able to tell the truth, I don't know. There is a divide between him and the truth, and that is the circumstances in which we live today. And therefore, as I said, the memory of Vakkom Moulavi, as we are making it today, recalling Vakkom Moulavi, gives us an opportunity to not only to understand his greatness, but also to understand our smallness, to introspect and take a resolve that come what may, let us rededicate to the value and beauty of intellectual freedom. I think for me, Vakkom Moulavi symbolizes that emancipatory beauty of intellectual freedom and intellectual integrity. So thank you very much for giving an opportunity to think about Vakkom Moulavi, and based on him, using him as a springboard, thank you for giving me an opportunity to probe or explore what does he symbolize and where do we lack, and what is the kind of integration that we have to necessarily do to survive as a very sane society. Thank you very much.